Well, we're looking at the second Landsberg reading, chapters 5, I suppose, through 9, or just 5 to the end. And I'd like to specifically emphasize the first line of this reading from section 5. He says, the specifically human problem of death is created by the transformation of the living being into person. And I think that this is an absolutely crucial part of Landsberg's thinking about death. Perhaps one or two things I could just say about it. Sorry, this is another class, but I can use it as a blank canvas. Living being as opposed to person. Now, I take what he means by living being to be organism. An animal. For an organism or an animal who is not a person, death can be sad, but death is not problematic. Once we're talking about human beings who are both animals and persons, then death becomes a problem. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, when we lose a pet, which is not something I'm going to dismiss. I mean, it's a big deal when you become attached to a pet or any non-human animal, and that animal dies. It's an event for you. It's an important thing. However, the death of that animal, again, can be sad or regrettable, but it's not problematic. It's not a problem because the animal's not a person. A person is a unique individual, self-aware, just throw everything in there. So not only self-aware, but rational. Now, the usual sort of traditional philosophical thinking of this point is that human beings are the only living things that qualify as being persons. That animals do not qualify as persons because they're not true individuals, because they're not rational, they're not self-aware, and therefore do not have an intrinsic worth. Now, there's all sorts of debate about this, about the moral status of animals, and whether animals, at least some of them, if not all of them, do qualify as persons. But that we're going to have to leave aside because in Landsberg's thinking, death, as he says, is a specifically human problem. Why? Well, again, if an animal dies, an animal that's not a person, it can be sad. But it's not problematic. I would say the reason it's not problematic is that death is a natural occurrence for a living being. That is, we think about ourselves as organisms. Human beings may be unique in nature, and they may even have a unique relationship with God. However, in their organic makeup, our physical bodies, we are also unique, but every species is unique. Every species is different. And in terms of what we're made of and what the basic components of our bodies are and how they function, we're no different from the rest of nature. So there is a respect in which the death of a human being is also a completely natural thing. Because if we think of organisms, every organism that's ever lived has either died or is fated to die. It's a completely natural thing. The unnatural thing would be the idea of a living organism that was immortal. It just wouldn't really even make sense. So death for a living being, for an organism, is a completely natural thing. But the question I think Landsberg is raising is death natural for a person? That is, we know, and I think Hans Jonas's essay, The Burden and Blessing of Mortality, when he talks about the burden of mortality, is very good on this. We know that to be a living organism is to be the kind of thing that can and will die. But if we think of ourselves on the level of the person, that is, if we think that if we think that what we essentially are is more than just body, self, person, spirit, many different words have been used, terms have been used to capture this something more than just the physical. And I think that that's what Landsberg means by person. That is, that aspect of us, which makes us unique creatures who, crucially, are aware of ourselves as individuals, not just as members of the species, members of the community. We realize that we're not interchangeable with other human beings, and in a certain sense are irreplaceable because we are unique individuals. If we are persons, death becomes problematic. And this is something that he has, I can't remember if it's in section 4 or section 5, but how Jonas says that the human being, once they have become a person, they also are able to look at or see the true nature of death, at least for human beings, which is that it's threat, it's a menace. And when Landsberg, in a dramatic way, characterizes Christ as the victor over death, it's clear that death is the enemy. I mean, if Christ is victorious over death, then death was the enemy that Christ defeated. So the human being, who is also a person, sees themselves threatened and menaced by death in a way that an animal couldn't. And that's because although I realize that I am a unique, irreplaceable individual, although I realize that I am a unique, irreplaceable individual, and that's what makes death problematic. And I think what Landsberg is doing is raising a very, very interesting and maybe one of the most interesting and central questions about death for a human being, and that is our ambivalence about death as human beings. We realize that on the one hand, as organisms, we are fated to die, and that there's no injustice in the fact that we die as organisms, because all animals do. As Jonas says, it's the price paid for life for an organism. On the other hand, we realize, or we feel ourselves to be more than organisms, to be self, person, spirit, soul, if we want to put it in Platonic terms. And what makes death problematic is that it appears that death menaces that too, that death threatens my personhood. It threatens not just to wipe out my body, which is inevitable, but to efface my personhood. So that's what I take. I know that was a long talk about one sentence, but I'm telling you, I think that is a very, very important sentence, and it's one of the crucial things that he says, and it can be connected up, which I'll try to do in further essays with other things that he says.